if you're sitting outside on a summer evening and a mosquito lands on the back of your neck, your hand just snaps up. You swat it away before you've even consciously registered what's happened.
Oh yeah, it's instant.
Right. The sensation is immediate and impossible to ignore. But think about the shirt you're wearing right now. It's like draping over your shoulders, brushing against your skin all day long. And until I mentioned it this very second, you hadn't noticed it at all.
No, I really hadn't.
A wild paradox, like why we feel the mosquito but entirely ignore the shirt. And that is exactly what we are unpacking today in our deep dive into the Finch Q team's work.
Right. They recently published this really thought-provoking blog post.
Yeah, it's titled The Slowest Thing We Ever Lose. And it dives into health, longevity, and how this hidden quirk in our brain's processing power silently dictates the way we age. Okay, let's unpack this, because on the surface, this sounds like a standard conversation about getting older, but it is actually a much deeper look into how we actively construct our own physical reality.
Yeah, that is the perfect lens for this. The core premise of the Finch Q post is that most of us fundamentally misunderstand our own attention.
How so?
Well, we culturally tend to view attention as a spotlight, right? Like a beam we consciously aim at whatever we want to look at. Or we treat it like a camera lens that just needs focusing. But the human nervous system isn't designed to record everything around it. It is specifically evolved to flag change.
Change.
Right. And not just any change, but changes that matter for our immediate survival or our goals.
Which makes logical sense.
Yeah.
I mean, the mosquito represents a sudden new stimulus.
A potential biological threat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas the shirt is just, the static background noise of your day.
Yeah.
But the text points out that people usually treat attention like it's a muscle.
Right.
As if noticing more about your body or your environment just requires you to furrow your brow and, concentrate harder.
And movement scientists look at it from a completely different angle. To them, attention is fundamentally a filtering system.
A filter.
Yeah, if we look at the sheer mechanics of the nervous system, your eyes, ears, skin, joints, muscle spindles.
All of it.
All of it. It's continuously flooding your brain with telemetry. We are talking about millions of data points every second regarding temperature, pressure, proprioception.
It's ambient noise, the exact angle of your spine.
Exactly.
But if the brain gave all of that incoming data equal weight, we'd be paralyzed. It's like having an incredibly aggressive spam filter on your email account.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. If every single promotional newsletter and random app notification pinged your phone with a loud siren, you'd throw the phone in the nearest lake.
You'd never find the emails that actually matter.
Exactly, the ones from your boss or your family.
Right.
So the brain has to do the exact same thing with physical sensations just to prevent total cognitive gridlock.
It is a continuous, relentless process of suppression. The brain is constantly asking one governing question, which is, what deserves my conscious awareness right now?
And how does it answer that?
To answer that, it relies heavily on context. It is constantly hunting for the signal hidden within an ocean of noise.
Wait, I'm a bit lost here. If my brain is successfully filtering out the noise so I don't experience crushing sensory overload, isn't that a feature, not a bug?
Generally, yes.
I mean, I want my spam filter working. I don't want to feel my socks all day.
No, nobody does.
So why does the Finch Q blog frame this biological adaptation as some kind of fatal flaw when it comes to healthy aging?
Well, because a spam filter is only as good as the rules you give it, and the rules your brain uses are based entirely on previous experience.
Okay.
To understand why this becomes a massive liability as we age, we have to look at how the brain actually decides what counts as normal. The Finch Q piece uses a great analogy about learning to drive, which perfectly illustrates the mechanics of this filter.
Oh, I remember reading that part. When you first get behind the wheel as a beginner driver, say, at 16 years old, your spam filter is basically turned off.
You are acutely aware of everything.
Right, the speedometer, constantly checking the rear view mirror, hyper-focused on the exact angle of your hands on the wheel.
Tracking the pedestrians on the sidewalk.
Yeah, it takes a massive amount of conscious cognitive effort just to navigate a few city blocks.
Because to a novice, the brain hasn't established a reliable baseline for the environment yet. It doesn't know what is routine background noise and what is a sudden danger.
So it treats everything as a potential signal.
Exactly. That cognitive load is exactly why learning a new complex motor skill is so exhausting.
But then look at an experienced driver. They ignore almost all of that routine data.
Right. They aren't staring at their hands.
No, or consciously calculating the distance to the curb. Instead, their attention is freed up to notice what actually matters.
The anomalies.
Yeah. They spot the child playing with a ball near the driveway, or they notice the brake lights flashing a quarter-mile ahead.
Or the delivery truck drifting slightly over the center line.
Exactly. They aren't seeing more total data than the beginner. They are just immediately recognizing the anomalies.
Because their brain has built a highly reliable baseline of normal driving, it seeks cognitive ease by ignoring the routine. Now, apply that same logic to the internal workings of your body.
Okay.
The Finch-Q post makes this leap. The body isn't just a machine we pilot. It operates as a highly sophisticated comparison engine.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because when you say comparison engine, you're talking about how the brain manages motor memory and proprioception.
Yes.
Like if I stand up from a chair right now, my brain isn't just analyzing that single physical movement in a vacuum.
What's fascinating here is that it's far from it. When you stand up, your central nervous system instantly cross-references the telemetry from your joints and muscles against the thousands of times you have stood up from a chair in the past.
Digging into the archives.
It is. The brain asks, does this match the blueprint? Is the weight distribution correct? Is there a new twinge of pain in the left knee that I need to elevate to conscious awareness?
So attention, in this biological sense, doesn't just passively observe the present moment.
No, it actively compares the present to the past, predicts the immediate future, and then updates the memory file based on any discrepancies.
Which perfectly explains why highly trained professionals seem like they have superhuman perception.
Right. The blog highlights this concept of trained observers.
Like a veteran mechanic can listen to an engine idling and immediately know a timing belt is loose, even though it sounds like a totally normal hum to me.
Or an experienced physical therapist can watch someone walk across a waiting room and spot a hip impingement in 3 seconds flat.
Right.
And what's crucial to understand is that those professionals do not have biologically superior ears or eyes.
Their sensory organs collect the exact same raw data yours do.
What they have is a significantly more robust, finely tuned library of experience in that specific domain.
Ah, so the mechanic's brain has deeply encoded the precise acoustic signature of a healthy engine?
That is their baseline. When the engine makes a sound that deviates from that baseline, it bypasses the spam filter and rings an alarm bell in their conscious mind.
So experience teaches attention what to look for, and attention teaches experience what to remember.
Precisely.
Okay, I follow the logic there. But I have to push back a little.
Sure.
If my body is constantly archiving my movements, shouldn't I be the ultimate expert on my own body?
You'd think so.
Yeah, I mean, I have decades of experience walking and standing up. Why doesn't my brain flag a subtle limp the same way that mechanic flags a loose belt?
Well, you would notice the limp if it happened overnight.
Okay.
If you went to sleep with perfectly fluid mobility and woke up the next morning with a stiff knee, the contrast would be sharp. Your comparison engine would scream that there was an anomaly.
Right, that makes sense.
The blind spot, the fatal flaw the text points out, occurs entirely because of the rate of change.
Or rate of change.
The profound weakness of our attention is that it completely adapts to slow increments.
Ah. Because the baseline itself isn't a fixed, permanent blueprint.
No, it is continually rewriting itself.
It's constantly updating.
That is the core mechanism. And this isn't just a physical phenomenon. It is deeply rooted in behavioral vision science and sensory thresholds.
Like, if a change is sufficiently slow.
Millimeter by millimeter, fraction of a degree by fraction of a degree.
The brain just doesn't flag it as an anomaly.
It just quietly updates the baseline. The new, slightly degraded state becomes the new normal.
So if we're talking about the reality of aging, we aren't talking about the sudden trauma of tearing a hamstring or breaking a bone.
No, we are talking about the micro-adjustments, the Finch-Q blog lists.
Right, like a slightly slower walking pace.
Or a walking stride that is just a fraction of an inch shorter than it was last year.
Or losing, 5 degrees of rotation in your neck when you check your blind spot in traffic.
Or needing to put a hand on the armrest to push yourself up from the sofa when you used to just stand up using only your leg strength.
Yeah. Or you adopt a slightly wider stance while waiting in line at the grocery store just to maintain your balance.
And your nervous system compensates for these tiny losses of mobility or strength entirely behind the scenes.
So what does this all mean?
Well, because the shift is microscopic on any given Tuesday, your attention filter suppresses it. It tells your conscious mind, nothing to see here, this is just how we stand up now.
Wow. If our brain is essentially gaslighting us by constantly updating the baseline without sending a notification, what is the ultimate cost of that adaptation?
The cost is a profound, invisible loss of self-awareness. As the Finch Q team points out, month after month, year after year, these shifts accumulate.
Right.
The real tragedy isn't just the physical decline itself. Aging is inevitable, bodies change.
Of course.
The tragedy is that we stop noticing it. We lose the capacity to accurately perceive our own physical reality.
Because we are looking right at our own bodies, living inside them every single day.
Yeah.
But our attention filter is actively hiding the degradation from our conscious mind.
Exactly. Behavioral vision scientists have known for decades that seeing isn't just about optics.
What do you mean?
You can have perfect 20/20 vision, but the eyes only collect raw light data. The brain decides what part of that data reaches your awareness.
Oh, wow.
We don't see with our eyes, we see with our attention. If there isn't enough contrast between yesterday's physical capability and today's, the brain simply edits out the decline to save cognitive energy.
Which brings us right back to the mosquito in the shirt from the
It's
beginning.
sort of circle, yeah.
If there is no sudden contrast, there's no alarm, the shirt just gets a tiny bit tighter, the fabric a tiny bit heavier, year by year, and we never feel it happen.
And that invisible narrowing of your physical world is the real danger. The new normal stops asking anything of us.
Because it demands less.
Right, less range of motion, less effort, less balance, and you don't even realize the walls are closing in around you.
Okay, I want to pivot here, because this could easily sound super depressing to anyone listening.
It really could.
But the Finch Q post actually offers a major reframe that I found deeply empowering.
Yes, the reframe is crucial.
If the true threat isn't just the inevitable loss of muscle, but our brain's mechanical failure to notice that loss, then healthy aging isn't just about hitting the gym harder or buying better vitamins.
No.
Perhaps at its core, it is about preserving awareness.
And that shift in perspective changes everything about how we approach longevity.
Because if you treat only the muscle or the joint, you're merely chasing symptoms.
But if you focus on your awareness, you are repairing the alarm system itself. Once a physical change reaches your conscious awareness, you can intervene.
Right, you can modify your routine, do targeted physical therapy, stretch more effectively.
But until it clears that cognitive filter, it rarely gets addressed.
And I think it's crucial for you, the listener, to hear this clearly. None of this is a failure of your willpower.
Absolutely not.
If you suddenly realize you can't comfortably reach the top shelf in the kitchen anymore, or you need the handrail on stairs you used to jog up, it's not because you were lazy.
No, it is simply the mechanical reality of how human attention operates. The decline happened in increments mathematically too small for your passive attention to detect. This raises an important question, though.
What's that?
If our passive attention is biologically hardwired to ignore these slow changes to save energy, how do we outsmart our own nervous system?
Right, we have to stop relying on passive attention altogether.
The text is very clear on this point. Noticing has to be something we actively choose to do.
It has to be an intentional act.
Because relativity is the only way to beat the filter. A slower walk only feels slow if you force a direct comparison to a faster one.
Right. And a shorter step only feels short if you measure it against a longer one.
You have to manually reintroduce the contrast that your brain is constantly trying to edit out.
Otherwise, without an objective external standard to measure against, today's slight limitation quietly becomes tomorrow's accepted baseline.
Exactly.
So the core takeaway for you today isn't that you need to panic about every little ache
Definitely not.
or obsessively track your balance every second of the day. The opportunity hidden in this Finch Q blog post is simply to apply a little more attention.
Attention that is paid early, paid often, and paid on purpose.
It's about consciously overriding your brain's evolutionary desire to ignore the slow and the mundane.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it presents a very practical, everyday challenge.
Okay, what's the challenge?
Well, if your brain hides your physical decline because it lacks a sudden contrast, what if you proactively built a physical measuring stick for yourself today?
Oh, I love that. A physical measuring stick.
Pick one specific everyday movement that you can consciously check in on every few months.
Like maybe noting how smoothly you can get down to the floor and back up again.
Or how far you can turn your neck when looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, or how easily you can balance on one foot while tying your shoe.
Exactly. By establishing a deliberate, conscious baseline right now, you ensure that the stealthy thief of slow change can't hide in your blind spot.
You force the comparison engine to work for you, rather than letting it quietly work against you. I love that concept. Create your own measuring stick. Give your brain the contrast it needs to keep that internal alarm system functional.
It's simple but incredibly effective.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope this conversation gives you a new lens through which to view your own physical reality. Remember, sometimes the most profound things happening to us are the ones we've simply stopped feeling.
So true.
So, sure, pay attention to the mosquito, but take a moment today to actually notice the shirt, too.
It's a great reminder.
And I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder on your own. If our brains naturally tune out the slow physical changes we experience every day, what subtle shifts in your mental or emotional baselines might your attention filter be quietly hiding from you right now? Stay curious, keep paying attention, and we will see you next time.